Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today I have a really fun video for you all. So today we're going to be discussing 5 Pokemon that are very interesting to me that are not seeing play right now. So let's go ahead and get into that. So a lot of these Pokemon that I'm going to be bringing up in this video, I do feel like for the most part, besides the number 1 slot, which you guys are gonna see, which is a surprise, so stay tuned to the end. The majority of them are pretty strong, right? They have niche and they can do a specific thing, but it might be a situation to where they're not good into the rest of the meta, or they're not like quickly good enough, like as far as like they need setup or things like that in order for them to start sweeping, right? And then some of them just also have to have like a partner or a teammate to make them work. And a lot of the Pokemon that are good right now are Pokemon that are kind of good on their own, and just having teammates makes those things better, but they kind of can function on their own. And if a Pokemon is not really viable without its teammate, then that's kind of like what makes a lot of them, not be as used as some of the other Pokemon that are easier to use right now. And this format is relatively new, so majority of people are going to be sticking to things that they're used to or things that feel comfortable. They're not going to try to reinvent the wheel until like maybe like the second, third month of a format, right? So, but I want to get into some Pokemon I think that could have a standout season in the next season, which will be starting on August 1st. And this is just my opinion on what I think that how good they'll be. So I want to start with the first Pokemon. We're gonna use the poster boy, which is gonna be Spectrier, the one we have on the thumbnail. So Spectrier is a powerful Pokemon. I have nightmares of this thing from when it was first introduced in Series 7 back in Sword and Shield, and you would just Dynamax this thing next to Clefairy, which had Friend Guard, and you could either Nasty Plot with this, then Dynamax, or just Dynamax it immediately, and then just go for like Max Phantasms, right? And then if Clefairy gets knocked out and you drop everything's defense with the Max Phantasm, because Max move in Generation 8, if you didn't play Generation 8, each Pokemon does something called a Dynamax. You can do it once per turn, kind of like Terrestrialization. And your Pokemon with double its HP will become giant, and all its moves become max moves. Like Shadow Ball will become Max Phantasm, and each max move, when they become a max move, they have their own special effects. So Max Phantasm actually drops the physical defense of your Pokemon. So you can put like physical attackers around Spectrier, and Phantasm would drop their physical defense, allowing them to hit your opponent harder, right? And you can't really deal with Spectrier easily because it has the Clefairy next to it. And Clefairy doesn't even have to click follow me, right? Because of the Friend Guard and you doubling your HP, then you're pretty bulky, right? And if you pick up a KO, your Grimnate boost is boosting you by 1 special attack stage. So this Pokemon was built for snowballing. It's the definition of a snowballer. This plus its counterpart, Glacier, are pretty much the same thing. This one's fast. Glacier is a Trick Room variant of this Pokemon, right? But they're both built to like snowball. And same thing, when Calyrex was introduced with the fusion of these, they're still built to snowball. But it starts with these horses. The horses are the one with the abilities that cause it to snowball. So that's just the idea. Like I say, also Dark Pulse, if you wanted to boost this, you couldn't Terra, but you can Dark Pulse and get Max Darkness. And even though it's not stab, if you get a boost, it's still doing a lot of damage off Spectre, being a max move. And this actually used to drop the special defense of Pokemon. That way you were able to hit things faster, right? I mean, kill things faster, or eliminate things faster, since you drop their special attack, and then you can hit them with Max Phantasm. And it also covers for them like being like a normal type or switching in a normal type. Like Porygon used to be like a decent counter into this because you can't like immediately hit it with your stab, right? So that's kind of the idea behind it. But Spectrier now is being slept on. I do think that it can be good. I do plan on using it as well as every Pokemon on this list. Every Pokemon that I'm going to list for this top 5, I'm actually going to build a team around that specific Pokemon, each one of them, right? So it'll be Spectrier, it'll be the next one, and the last 3 after that I'm going to build a team around. But some interesting sets, like you can kind of go back to how this used to be ran in Sword and Shield. So you still have a Friend Guard user, right? You know Clefairy's not in the game, you could use Mousehold. And the thing about Mousehold is Spectrier is weak to Ghost and Dark, right? and Mouse Hold is immune, so you can. There's no really spread type ghost moves. Astro Barrage is not in the game right now, so you really can safely like set up next to Mouse Hold, and they can't hit you with like a Shadow Ball, right? And the only thing that's really like spread type dark type move is like Fiery Wrath from Moltres, which is hard for you to deal with. But you can just go for Fairy Terror, right? And then get rid of this, slap on a Draining Kiss and a Nasty Plot. And now you're able to hit the Moltres for super effective damage, right? Plus heal yourself back. And now you don't take the damage from the Fiery Wrath. And you're naturally faster than Moltres, so now you don't have to worry about the flinching, right? And this, like, being next to Mousehold giving you that friend guard is really good. Also, I think Spectre can be good behind screens. I think the screen idea is really good, and then like pair this with like an Intimidate user, or maybe like Thunderous too, to drop special defense. Not special defense, special attack, or Eerie Impulse, and then maybe like an Intimidate user, right? Let's see, because we already have, you know, like the Ice weakness, I would say Hisuian Arcanine. Right, you can start with something here, and then like this kind of just does the most of support your Spectrier. I would probably maybe drop Thunderous just so you don't have so much support, but just any combination of these to like support the Spectrier, and then like 2 or 3 other sweepers, then you can have a, you know, a pretty good Spectrier team, right? I do think Fairy Terror is the best terror on this because it makes Ghost hit you for neutral and gives you stab on Draining Kiss, which is good for hitting those dark types that you can't really hit with the Shadow Ball. And honestly, a good partner for Spectre is like a fighting type, right? Since you can't hit the normal types for good damage with Shadow Ball or Draining Kiss because it's neutral. Like, I don't want to double up on the ghost types, but I think Urshifu Dark is actually a good teammate for this. So we could probably get rid of Thunderous, Urshifu Dark, right? And then I can't really think of a 6 right now, but you can like fill this in, and you can kind of build this team from here. Maybe another special attacker, since we have, you know, pretty much 3 physical attackers. Mousehold is not really probably going to be doing much damage on this team. You could go for Population Bomb, but I think the bulky Mousehold will support Spectre better, right? And I think you can kind of like go from here with this team, right? And just, you know, deal a lot of damage. If there's normal types, you can deal with them with Urshifu. If there's dark types, you can deal with them with Draining Kiss. You got Intimidate, you got Screens, you got Redirection, right? And that's pretty, and also maybe a Fake Out user. You probably can get a Fake Out user if you can find one that'll fit this team. I guess you could go with Rillaboom, just so you got like recovery with the grassy terrain, plus you have Fake Out, right? And then this is a pretty good team. If you want to put all your special attack against the Spectrier, you're kind of walled against like iron defense things, but you can play around that with, you know, good gameplay, taunt on Grimmsnarl or taunt on Rillaboom, or saving your Spectrier for the end game to be able to deal with like iron defense, body press, stuff like that. And then you can go from there. If you put like a clear amulet on Arcanine, then you don't have to worry about former Intimidate. Urshifu doesn't really care about Intimidate with the Wicked Blow, because that's usually the move you want to click. And if you're going for close combat, like one Intimidate is not going to stop base 120 close combat coming off of a base 130 attack stat from dealing good damage to it, right? To just 2-hit KO in it on most things. So I feel like this is a pretty good team. Like I said, you could like drop the Fake Out and go for like another special attacker. It's not really one I could think of right now because I don't want to extend this video much longer. But this is just kind of a basis of what you can start from. But I do think Spectre can be good, and I do plan to build a team around it. So we're going to move on to our next one. The next one on our list is going to be Cinderace. So we all remember Cinderace, and actually this is the one that we probably remember as the G-Max form. From Cinderace standing on the fireball and just clicking its signature fireball move. I forget what the name of it was, but basically he stands on a fireball and he kicks it at you, and it just does a lot of damage, right? It's like base 160 power, and it just pretty much one-hit KOs everything. If you got the sun up, like nothing is living that unless you're immune to it, right? I think Cinderace can be good this generation. I think Libero is still the best ability for it because of the amount of coverage that it has, right? Pyro Ball is always going to be one of his signature moves, his best move. I do believe High Jump Kick, I wish it got close combat, because High Jump Kick, it's too many Ghost Terrors in the format right now. And like fighting coverage, while it is good, you should just rather have a fighting type on your team next to Cinderace. Because like just going for High Jump Kick being locked into that and they tear in a Ghost, or they protect, and you losing half your health is just not good for Cinderace because it's already not that bulky. So I personally don't like high jump kick, plus it can miss. I do like Iron Head. I want to leave Power Ball up there. I do like Iron Head to be able to just one shot, and I believe Scarf might be one of the best items on Cinderace. Scarf, Iron Head plus like Iron Terror to just remove Flutter Mane, surprise it from turn 1 is really good. Really good players can see this coming, even though it's like Cinderace. They can, like, when you see Cinderace, like, in my opinion, I'm gonna assume it's Scarf and it probably is carrying Iron Head. So good players can see that coming, but if they don't have any terror, any way to play around it, then you can be in a pretty good spot from there. Let's see. I don't think Cinderace is fast enough to go for like an Acrobatics and like Grassy Seed set or like Psychic Seed. And like, does it get Swords Dance? It does get Swords Dance. So I mean, but you much rather lose Hawlucha, or because when they use their Hawlucha or Sneasler, when they use their Grassy Seed, then they get a speed boost, right? So Cinderace is not really that fast to run that Acrobatics set. So I wouldn't consider Acrobatics. What else does it get? High jump kick, U-turn is pretty good. You turn into a bug, a decent chip, and you can pivot out. I guess you could go high jump kick because he doesn't really have anything else. Sucker Punch is decent. Bounce was really good in Generation 8, right? And the idea behind Bounce was that it turns into Max Airstream, and then that gives you something that you can just click, you know, Max Airstream and things to get a speed boost, right? Which was really, Max Airstream was like the best max move back in Generation 8. You could go Zen Head, but I really feel like he doesn't really get any other good moves. I would go with the Feint, but Feint would be better on a non-Scarf set. So maybe like a Focus Sash set could be decent. But I think you probably should go Sucker Punch, right? With the amount of Ghost Terrors around. I just personally don't like high jump kick. Gunk Shot is pretty similar to Iron Head. You're really hitting the same things. I guess you can hit Rillaboom, but you can already hit Rillaboom with a fire type attack. So you could go, like I said, high jump kick. I would probably go Sucker Punch. But also, like, just going for a fire terror, just getting the most out of this with like a helping hand, Pyro Ball, it's like one shot and everything, right? Cinderace still does have a decent attack stat. And if you just go max attack, max speed, make it adamant. Cinderace has enough speed to outspeed everything pretty much that's not on its own speed boosting item or ability. And they don't have Tailwind up outside of like Regieleki, right? So you can go adamant, outspeed everything, and just hit it with like Terrafire, Pyro Ball, right? And I think that's pretty strong. I plan to build a team around Cinderace, seeing how well it can be used. It is kind of like limited in what it's able to, like what sets is able to run. I think Scarf is kind of like obvious, but it is pretty much the best set. I guess you could go Choice Band with like a Tailwind team, and that would make like Pyro Ball hit even harder. Like that's really powerful. You could go Focus Sash, could go Life Orb, but we'll see what it is when I make the Cinderace team. But I do think that it's not seeing play, and like I say, this list is not a list based on Pokemon I feel like are good that are overlooked. I just think that these are Pokemon that are not seeing play that are interesting. So let's keep the interesting as the main key word here for what the Pokemon that we're looking at, right? They're interesting. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're good, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, right? They're just interesting, and they're not really seeing a lot of play in the format. So the next Pokemon I want to go with is one that I think might be the strongest on this list, which is Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant has Fairy and Fighting coverage. This is the best coverage you can like have outside of maybe like Fairy Ground. Like Fighting coverage just hits everything. You can't hit the Ghost types, but the Fairy types can. The Fairy coverage can hit the Ghost types. What else walls you? Other Fairy types can wall that, so you can hit them with Fairy. Of course, you're weak to Fairy, but everything that Fighting resists, Fairy can hit, right? And kind of like vice versa. Like Fairy, well, except for Poison. Poison kind of walls both of you, right? But there's not really that many Poison types out there. Poison is a good Terror, but I haven't really seen it right now. A lot of people used to run this. When I ran Focus Sash. I've seen Life Orb. But one set that nobody was using that I just realized is pretty good when I was looking, you know, at some Pokemon that were interesting was that in the other series, the Flutter Manes and the Iron Bundles that were the most common Pokemon always took the booster energy, right? But now, since those Flutter Mane and Iron Bundle aren't the most common on every team anymore because you have so many of the new Pokemon coming in, there's more slots for you to have booster energy because the Flutter Mane may not have booster energy. If it is on your team, you may not, if you already have it. Like if you're running this, you have a Fairy, you might not want to run Flutter Mane. But just having like the access to booster energy now, and just being able to outspeed everything, like your base 116 speed, like similar to like Cinderace, is a little bit faster. Like I like to calculate it from like level 100, which I explained in my team building video, because that's how I learned my speed tiers. Right, you pretty much go 295, and then you're outspeeding everything with your booster energy, right? Well, you want to get more attack, so let's see. To get the most out of your attack, you gotta be faster than that. So you could go like this, and this will give you the most attack. Or let's see if it can raise the. I think this is best as a physical attacker. To be honest, I like the physical attacking stat. I guess we go Jolly. Yeah, you go Jolly like this. That way you can just max if you want to. Just get the most damage out, right? And now you're getting the speed boost in nature, and you can actually like drop this a little bit to 361. That way when you drop it down to level 50, you'll be all set, right? And now this way you got like just a little bit of EVs that you could just put right here, right here. Put this back to 4, right? And it's a decent set. Now you get, now this thing is not meant to take hits, right? It's meant to like be fast and have good coverage and just one-shot things. The fairy coverage is really good right now. And then like to get around the Dragonite stuff, just go Ghost Terra. Now Dragonite can't E-speed you, right? And you also get Shadow Sneak. Right? So now you're fast. You have the booster energy. You have Shadow Sneak, which is priority. You have Spirit Break. And you have Close Combat. And now you're like coming off, 359. Like you're dealing a lot of damage across the board, right? This is a really strong Pokemon. I don't understand why it's not seeing more play. I get that it can be frail, but it's not meant to stay on the field. And this is just an offensive set that I'm showing you, right? This Pokemon can also, it doesn't get Detect, so we're gonna go Protect. It should get Detect since it's a fighting type. But this is just, offensive set. This thing also has access to Trick Room. I think it gets Imprison. It gets Wide Guard. It gets Icy Wind, like I just showed you if you want to run the special set. Like it gets so many utility moves. It has so much coverage. Look, it has Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, Thunderbolt. Like it gets so much coverage. And I think even on the physical side, it's even crazier with the coverage, right? You can get really crazy with it. It has Ice Punch, Leaf Blade, so you can go like Leaf Blade, Grass Terror. Now you wall Urshifu strikes, right? And let's just get rid of this because I think Trick Room could be okay on it. But I honestly think that you should have Protect, like just to be able to scout for different things. Protect, Leaf Blade, Spirit Break. And this is if you want to take off the Shadow Sneak, right? And then Close Combat. Now you got Grass Fairy fighting coverage, right? Now you can deal with Urshifu Water, Terror in the grass, and just one-shot it with a Leaf Blade, right? So that's not all it gets. It gets also knockoff, so you can go for like a Terra Dark power for knockoffs, which is strong. Liquidation, so now you can go for Terra Water, still help you against the water Urshifu, and now you have Stab on your Liquidation, right? Which is really strong. Water coverage is really good in the format. Not many things resist it besides like other water types, right? And like grass types. So water is like a really good offensive typing, right? And that's it. Also gets Poison Jab, Psycho Cut, Thunder Punch, X Scissor, like Aerial Ace. Like this Pokemon gets gets so many elements of different like attacks, and it's so many different sets and fun things that you can do with this. Like you can almost like if everyone like 10 players all built their Iron Valiant with a different coverage move, you can have like 10 different Iron Valiants. They're just like a bunch of coverage across the board. So like I just don't see why it's not seeing more play. I think it does get Swords Dance too, because it can probably go for like a Swords Dance Drain Punch set. Right? It does get Swords Dance. It gets Thunder Wave, it's Taunt. Like it has so much utility. Hypnosis. Like Quick Guard. They gave this thing literally everything it needs to succeed, and it's just not seeing play. Like Encore, like it's fast, like fast Encore with booster energy. Like it can do the same thing that Flutterman was doing. I mean, Iron Bundle was doing, but nobody will see that coming, right? Fast Destiny Bond. If you want to just go for a fast Destiny Bond, knowing it's gonna get one shot with booster energy, then you can just take down your opponent with it, right? Helping Hand, like these are just, this helps you boost your opponent's attack, right? It gets Substitute. Substitute with booster energy is always a good set, right? You can go with that. Thunder Wave, Trick if you want to have like a choice variant and trick an item onto it, which I don't recommend. I do recommend going with booster energy with any of these. And then it also gets Calm Mind. So you can go for the Calm Mind and go with the special set with like and it does get both coverage of his stabs. Moonblast, you could go Dazzling Gleam, and then you get Aura Spear, right? So that covers your stabs, right? And even like a set like this on a special set, you can go this and just be doing well from there. I would say get like a defensive terror for this. You could double dip into like the fairy or the fighting. I would say still go for a consistent like maybe steel terror, so it resists the fairy and the poison. And like this is like a good set right here. This is also something unique. So this is just some ideas I got. Like this Pokemon is really good. It has like everything. It's almost like a Mewtwo in a way. Like it just gets so many elemental moves. Attack coverage. It can be physical. It can be special. It can be support. It can be fast. It can be slow. It does it all. So it's just, I'm very shocked that it doesn't get more play, and I'm excited to give it a try on a team that I build around it. So moving on to our fourth Pokemon. Now this is a Pokemon that I did when I had the idea for this video. I had it on my list, but I've seen a couple people talking about it now, so it might start to not be as not seeing play like the rest. But currently it's still not seeing play. So that's Thundurus Therian. I think this is the format for it, right? This Regulation D. It completely walls Regieleki. Regieleki can tear ice and hit it, but that's not stabbed, and it's not like you can really out damage the Regieleki. Actually, you probably don't really like dealing with Regieleki. It can't hit you, but you don't really have the coverage or want to be carrying the coverage to hit Regieleki unless you go for like a ground terror variant. But why go ground terror when you're already immune to with your ability? But the thing about this is it's base 145 at special attack. Like this is incredible special attack with a modest nature, and it's fast enough to go like Choice Scarf, right? What is a scarf? It's fast enough to go Choice Scarf and outspeed everything, right? Without having to be a timid speed nature, right? And then you don't even need, you can put, like I said, you go to 295. You can max out on your special attack. If you want to like be optimal with your EVs, you can drop this down to like the second EV bump, which is at 26, was the last EV bump. And the EV bump is where your stat jumps twice. You see where it goes from 416 to 418 and not 417? That's the EV bump. And that's where you like, that's where your stats start to do the more damage when they hit that bump, right? So from 18 up to 27, you're not doing that much different damage. It just become damage rolls at that point. So you really can like just go for the last EV bump right there. And then you have the rest, the 64 EVs to put like a little bit in your HP. We can bring these up to like a solid number like that. And drop this down by one more. Bring this to 200. Right, and this is just how I calculate mine from level 100, because I know when I reduce this to 50, this gives me like the calcs that I like, right? And you can go with this, and this is like you got decent bulk. It's not really bulky, but like you have a little bit of HP investment, so you can survive like a random ice beam on like a non-stab move, right? You don't just get one shot by it. So things like that, and you're still dealing a lot of damage. Now this thing gets Wind Bolt Storm. Now what the other Thundurus does from a support role is never really invested in special attack. But this one is a special attacker for real, right? This is hitting hard. You catch something like this next to like a Pelipper to make it 100% accurate, then and you already have the Choice Scarf, you're picking up KOs and dealing like 90% of things that don't resist it, and as long as they're not immune to it. Like you're doing so much damage across the board and you're hitting both, which is very good because Thundurus, I like to say, because it's electric coverage and you're only really hitting water types for super effective and like flying types. There's not really a lot of other types that really like take that much damage from electric, but you're so powerful that you're chipping everything, right? So like if you have like a Focus Sash Mon in the back, like a Chimpow or like a Urshifu, you can just come in and clean up everything that Thundurus has chipped down, that it's been chipping with the Wind Bolt Storm. And also, it has the 20% chance to paralyze. So things are going to be getting hit with this. They're going to be getting chipped, and they're going to be getting paralyzed. So you have things in the back that just come in and outspeed it, right? And then like you can use this like next to a Tornadus, or you can use it. I recommend like using the Pelipper, because the instant rain coming up saves you the turn of having to set rain up plus Tailwind in case you're going against a fast team. But the Choice Scarf does help it, right? You could go Choice Specs and then go with Tornadus. That way you get the Tailwind plus the Rain Dance, and then you go with the Wind Bolt Storm after that. But this thing is really powerful. Another cool set is like going with Flying Terror and Terra Blast. Now this is going to be one of the strongest Flying Terra Blasts that you've seen, right? Even stronger than Dragonites, right? Because you're coming off this base 145 special attack, and then you're tearing into a type that you already naturally are, giving you stab on that. And this Terra Blast is just obliterating everything that doesn't resist it, right? And this is just a really cool set. I'm not understand why it's not seeing more play. You have Grass Knot to like deal with like Ursaluna, since Ursaluna is immune to electric type attacks, and it's a heavy Pokemon, so it's not gonna like Grass Knot. You get Sludge Bomb to help you hit Rillaboom. You can't hit Rillaboom with Flying Terror, but if you don't want a Terror, you already used your Terror, you can go for Sludge Bomb, right? And then Terra Blast too. And then I don't recommend Flash Cannon because it's not stab, and it's a special attack. So the only thing you really want to hit with a stab with steel moves is Flutter Mane, right? And Flutter Mane is decently bulky on the special side, so I don't recommend the Flash Cannon tech. That's why Heatran doesn't even really use Flash Cannon, right? And it's actually gets stab on it. It'd rather go with the Heavy Slam just because it hits on the physical side. So I recommend Volt Switch, just so you have, you know, the pivoting options, right? And I think this is a really consistent set. Like, this is a strong Pokemon, and it's not seeing play. But like I said, I've heard through the grapevine recently, like this week, that, you know, some players have been experimenting with using this on like rain teams. So we'll see how it is. I do have a team built around this already. It's one of the ones on this list that I already have a team built that I just haven't showcased yet. It's just been kind of sitting in my back pocket, and I've been waiting to use it, right? But, you know, I think I will go ahead and bring it out soon. But this is going to be, you know, our fourth Pokemon. And I think that, you know, it has a good place in the meta if it's used properly. So moving on to our last one, and this might be the most controversial one, but I do think that you probably didn't even know this Pokemon was in the game, but I think that it has a chance to do something, right? And that's because it has a good matchup into something that's very common, like one of the most common Pokemon in the format, and that's going to be Go-Go. Now, why choose Go-Go? It's a grass type with Sap Sipper, so that makes it immune to grass types. But you're already grass type, so you don't really want to go with this ability because you already resist grass, right? And you already have like a decent, well, your defense is garbage, but you're gonna do pretty well into Rillaboom, which is one of the Pokemon using grass moves the most right now. And you're already like immune to Spore, so that's not the ability that makes me want to use this Pokemon, right? The ability in the set that I want to try is gonna be Grassy Pelt. So Grass Pelt is something, a unique ability that I think only Go-Go has, that it gets a defense boost 1.5 when grassy terrain is up. So that means your defense, you times this whatever you put it, like you can invest into your defense. Let's say we go with a Impish Nature, like you like invest pretty heavily into your defenses. Right, and you're grass type, right? So you go pretty heavily into your defense. I would say go about like 220 right there. Or you can go for the, since I can go for the EV bump, right? Where is the EV bump? There it is. So we go to 231, the EV bump right there. And now you don't really need any speed because you're already pretty slow. And now you want to go Grassy Seed, right? So Grassy Seed is gonna give you a 1.5 boost. Give you a boost by one stage when grassy terrain is up. So now you're getting a +2 in your defense coming off, you know, 231, which makes you really bulky, right? And you want to play this next to Rillaboom. Now you're literally putting up a wall in front of Urshifu, which is one of the most common Pokemon, right? And you say, well, you're grass type, you lose to Urshifu's teammates, which are Dragonite and Chien-Pao, which likes to hit you Ice Spinner. Now, Ice Spinner can remove it, but the thing about Chien-Pao right now is that a lot of them are running Icicle Crash, because they don't want to take Rocky Helmet chip damage, right? And Icicle Crash is not a contact move. So now they're not removing your Grassy Terrain. So your Grassy Seed will stay regardless, right? And you're healing up with Grassy Terrain, but now you can just go for Steel Terror. You can go for Steel Terror, and now you resist the E-Speed, you resist the Icicle Spinner. They have to hit you with like Sacred Sword. And Sacred Sword is hitting you is fine, but the thing about this thing is it gets Horn Leech. So you can literally just hit Urshifu back, right? You have base 100 attack. Now that's not that good, but you can, like, I would say go maybe right here, 272, and then put the rest in HP, right? And you don't really need any speed, right? And then you got Fake Out with Rillaboom. I think that, like, let's see, what's this set I was talking about? It doesn't get Sword Stance, it gets Bulk Up. So now you can bulk up, and now you're healing with the Grassy Terrain, and you can heal with your Leech Up. And bulk up boosts your defense even more, plus your attack stat, right? Now you're like, this Pokemon does take a lot of building up to do and a lot of boosting. But I think once you get it in the right spot, like the Horn Leech plus bulk up can be really good, right? And I didn't even look at his other coverage moves to deal with like some of the other grass types that you're gonna run into. It does get Aerial Ace, so you can go with Aerial Ace to help you deal with those other grass types. You could go Play Rough to just have the fairy coverage, which is always good. Brick Break helps you break screens. Rock Slide helps you against like flying types that you can't hit with your grass types. And also Wild Charge. But I think this Pokemon is interesting. Like I say, I think it's the most controversial because you don't want to go Earthquake even though ground coverage is good. The Earthquake will be weaker next to Rillaboom's Grassy Terrain because Grassy Terrain reduces the damage of Earthquake in like magnitude specifically, right? So you could go Stumping Tantrum, but I think that this is a good set. I don't know if it gets any other like good status moves. It gets Synthesis, so it can heal, like in the sun. It gets Milk Drink, so it has ways to heal. It gets Leech Seed. It is good heal. Like this Pokemon is built to like stay on the field and just heal up and be annoying and just last. It also gets Growth, which raises your attack and special attack by 2 in the sun. So like Growth is even better than like the bulk up, just as far as getting your attack up faster, right? And like I said, I think this is interesting. I do want to build a fun team around it and see like if I can get some wins on a high ladder with it. It is, like I said, it's gonna take a lot of setup, but I think that people not knowing what it can do gives it an advantage, right? And I think like using it next to like a Fake Out user plus like a redirection user, is to set it up can win you some games, right? So like I said, I will try to build a team around this. Let's say we just go with Protect in the last slot. And I think this is decent. Now you can hit those grass types. You are still walled by steel types. And as a matter of fact, since it's only Rillaboom, I think you should have like a fire type next to this. Like a Heatran or just something that's like good at removing grass types. And then just go with, because you don't want to be walled by steel type coverage. And then just go with Stumping Tantrum. I think that's better. I think the grass ground coverage is better than grass flying. And just because flying ground hits more super effectively than flying does. And I think that being walled by a steel type is harder to deal with than being walled by a grass type, right? Because steel types can hit you for neutral and grass types can't really hit you at all. So you kind of wall grass types. So you'll always win the 1v1 against other grass types. But that's just, so this is going to be my list. Let me know what you guys think. If you do think that Go-Go, Thundurus, Iron Valiant, Cinderace, or Spectrier should be seeing more play? Do you think that, that my assessment is right, that they're not seeing play, but they're pretty like interesting? And let me know if there's any of these that you want to try, or if you're going to come out and watch some of the videos that I post, making teams built around these Pokemon that are actually viable and can get you some wins on high ladder. But let me know, leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, deuces.